So of the two main characters, Ilia and Shane,
Yeah.
which do you like the most?
Okay, I know you like Ilia more,
I
obviously.
do.
I do like Shane more. And I will say this as a woman watching the show and since I'm heterosexual, I'm watching this as I'm watching two manly men. I do think about, they're young, they're attractive. I'm just like, is there one I find more attractive?
I mean, the whole thing.
The whole thing, right? And that probably feeds into the popularity of the show because they are very young, very attractive men.
Yeah.
I do happen to like Shane more because to me, just as in terms of my personal, who am I more attracted to? Ilia is too wild. But Shane is much more, he's clean cut. He's, very disciplined. Those are all things that personally appeal to me. He has a real estate fetish, which I'm just like, yes, go, invest that money, live in nice houses. I just think there's a lot more about him that kind of appeals to me more.
So, and I definitely have a very different opinion. I thought Shane was super boring.
Yes, that's true. I don't know that I would enjoy dating him.
But you like looking at him? Okay.
Yeah, forget the fact that he's gay, setting aside the fact that he's gay.
Critical details. It could work.
Yeah. Setting aside critical details of him being gay.
We saw when he tried that. It didn't.
He got along so well with Rose Vandry. I think that's how it would be, I would just have a great time with Shane. That's what I think.
It would be a different sort of relationship, but yeah. For sure. So I think I'm coming at it as a straight guy a little differently, just in general. I will say, I think Shane, maybe the actor, a little better looking, my personal opinion. Definitely the smile and all that sort of stuff. I can see why that lands well with a lot of people. But I think Ilia as a character was just so much more interesting. I didn't, Shane had his things, a lot of his internal hang-ups and how he expressed himself and stuff like that. But he was just kind of cruising. He had his sponsorships and his parents, his mother in particular, were kind of managing and that sort of thing. But otherwise, it was kind of okay. I didn't get a sense of a lot of conflict other than, say, stuff with Rose and Ilia,
his sexual identity.
Yeah, right.
Coming to terms with
the big secret that was a big part of who he was in his life that he could not just be honest about.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. Ilia, on the other hand, it's kind of his entire life. Right? He had issues like with his family, his brother, even I guess I forget her name, but the woman he was close with, and they had a very special relationship. Right?
Svetlana.
Svetlana. But I like the fact, again, that he really embraced who he was otherwise within the space that he knew he could work in. He didn't have hang-ups on just saying, I want this.
Yeah.
And I think that was very refreshing. It felt mature and it felt healthy.
Yeah.
In a way, Shane, he got there kind of at the end, though actually he was forced into it. So I almost went, I don't know, right?
I hear what you're saying. I do feel maybe a part of the appeal, and again, I didn't necessarily think much of episode 1 when I watched it. I was just like, I'm not getting the hype.
That was me through episode 4.
But, this is all going into why I think it's such a popular show. But it's really episode 2 that grabbed my attention. And it's the scene in the bathroom after the award presentation. The wow genetic, and I think this is to maybe the actor and the directors, like their credit and how they've crafted the character, but the emotions that Shane experiences, from anger to, I guess, just like longing, and everything in the way it's expressed, like he goes from angry to soft. It really caught me off guard. And, he was saying these lines that are so crude, like, please get on this filthy bathroom floor. And I don't even want, suck my dick. So he's saying these lines that are so crude, but but the expression on his face is so not. And That was when I started to truly get invested and interested, because I felt Shane's, I would say, lust and his longing for Ilia. So part of why the show sells, sex sells, but also why the show sells. It's like a forbidden, kind of secret, hidden, passionate romance. And who doesn't want that? You know?
Yeah, and this is perhaps where Shane actually does better than Ilia in terms of expressing. Like, Ilia doesn't make any. He's very clear about he wants something, right, in principle, but in terms of like expressions of tender feelings, that struggles. That's a cultural thing, I think. And like, again, I don't mean that disparagingly. That can be tough in a lot of cultures and upbringings. And as we get his background, you're like, the fact that he's anything approaching healthy is a bit of a miracle.
True.
You know, so and he does come around. I feel episode 6 really, I think that was big, where he, unlike Shane, I feel like he actually made the growth in this department. Shane, we never get to see if he actually would have done it and overcome. He gets forced into the situation of having...
True, his dad catches them.
Straight up walks in. Yeah. Very little mystery.
That's true.
And then exits, stage left pretty promptly. Yeah. And then they're like, well, I guess we're here, right? It's happening. So, I don't know. I guess that's just how I feel about the two characters. Now, I'd like to dig into differences or a comparison, and we've done a little bit already, their communication styles, but also their attachment styles. I know that's a big thing when people talk about, secure, anxious, avoidant. I'm probably forgetting something, and various, combinations thereof.
Anxious-avoidant?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe that's it. There aren't that many options, I guess. So how do you view them, and both in communication and also like how they approach, romantic attachment?
That's a tough question. In terms of communication, I don't think either of them is good at it, to be honest. At least not at first. You begin with this scene of them, for instance, when Shane wins, I think, MVP, and Ilia has to go to Russia. Shane finds him. He's like, you couldn't even congratulate
when they're on the balcony.
Yeah, you couldn't even congratulate me. And then Ilia's like, whatever, I'm going to Russia. They just don't understand each other.
Different expectations, I think.
Yeah.
This is a common thing in relationships, I feel.
And it was fairly new, and it was a 10-year-long situationship. They were barely talking once in 2 years at that point in time. Like, you can get why they didn't communicate well, but also because it looks to me like, at least from what I gathered, or the impression I got from the show, is like they had no communication for 6 months. Then there was sporadic texting. Then they would hook up. Then there was no communication for a year. Then there was sporadic texting. They would hook up. Like, that's not communication. That's not a relationship. And the way it was portrayed,
non-verbal communication, perhaps.
No, I feel like it was portrayed as though they are romantically interested in each other from the start. For instance, with Shane not sending that text that we didn't even kiss pretty early on in their relationship. This is episode 2 ending. So I feel like it was portrayed like they're romantically interested, but not saying it from very early on. And for that, there was very little communication. But of course, later on, we see it gets much better, where in the end, when Dad catches them, and Shane has a full-blown, like, oh my god, whatever, panic attack. But Ilia is really like, hey, I'm here. I will go with you.
Yeah. He becomes like he is the grounded one, for sure.
Yeah.
Again, I think where he struggled, he was good at communicating very directly and confidently about what he wanted. But then when he didn't want to talk about like the serious stuff, right?
Yeah. And
he's like, oh, well, it's just this. It's like, it wasn't just that. And Shane knew that, and so did Ilia, even if he wasn't saying as much, right? So I think in terms of communication, it was different. Like, Shane would deny things, but then he'd also acknowledge really important bits. But I do feel that Ilia in general has a more secure, not fully, but more secure attachment style. He felt secure. And I think when he drifted away, it's because something else was happening. Like, for example, when he saw that Shane was dating Rose Landry.
Yeah.
Understandably, he didn't react great emotionally to it. And so he went off and did something. He tried to do the same thing. Yeah. It was kind of emotionally destructive, and it didn't work out. But otherwise, I think he's actually fairly secure, whereas I feel that Shane at a minimum is anxious and occasionally avoidant. But then sometimes he would just come in and actually talk about what he's talked about in a way that Ilia didn't want to.
Who do you think was interested first?
I think Ilia was the first to signal.
Romantically interested, not sexually.
Oh, I don't know. Then in that case, like, because I don't like, I'll be honest, like, even watching, I'm not exactly sure where it flipped, because for me, it happened very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happened very quickly in the show, but they had this montage in episode 3 of, maybe 2-3 years passing by, and the two of them, they're texting, they're hooking up, they're meeting in between, or, during games or whatever. And I think it's over the course of that time that it happened, episode 3 or episode 4. I think, the course of that time is when it happened. That's my read on it. And I personally feel my take on the show is that Shane got romantically interested first. Just going by, maybe he was just being, I feel he was interested, but I do feel that Ilia had to take steps towards him to truly get Shane to commit. But I think Shane is the one who got interested first, just looking at earlier episodes. And,
maybe.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, my thought is it's probably because Ilia is like, well, this can't be serious because of all these other things in the background that make it kind of impossible for me. Yeah. Like, yes, I can pursue these things in private, but for this to be truly meaningful, it has to be public, and that is a non-starter as far as he was concerned. But I think, as we'll call it, the attachment or lack thereof with his family, is that changed, and I think also as he just sort of accepted, like, not really who he was. He'd already accepted that on some level, right? But that he really cared about Shane and all that sort of stuff. I do think he was slower to come around to it, but it's because he'd put these artificial limits on himself. Like, I can't want that because that's not available to me.
Well, though I think Shane also put those limits, right? It's only until he finally, he tried dating Rose Landry and so on that he was like, okay, I'm gay. I might as well accept it.
Well, I mean, Rose totally called him out. Very
you cannot
nicely.
Get into the hottest actress. Yeah, he had his shot with, like, literally the hottest woman on the in the show.
And it played out well in the press, but maybe not so well.
Yeah.
In private. Yeah, that's funny.